I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the folks at home.
You're yelling at me. Where's Ty? No, ditto.
Now, on your agenda, it says we're going to have a presentation by the superintendent of schools and deputy superintendents, but we've got something better tonight. We have a member of the school board, Mr. Gabe O'Connell, and he is going to take their place because they went on a nice trip to Washington, correct?
Correct. They're in Washington, D.C., meeting with our representatives last couple of days, talking about our impact aid money and just for our district in general. So.
Okay, Gabe?
Okay.
Gabe was my neighbor growing up. I was on the board with him. He's a very good local community member. Far away, Gabe.
So my name's Gabe O'Connell. I'm a 9-year member of the school board here in Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery School District. And I want to just thank you for allowing me a few minutes just to talk about our capital project and to talk to the community about the capital project, give them some information, some dates, and places where they can go to get information. So we're going to have a capital project in our school district. The community will vote on this project Tuesday, March 28th at the Highland Falls Intermediate School from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. The voting will be in the front of the school, so I would avoid the morning 7:45 to about 8:15. That's when the buses are there. But after that, you should be able to pull right up in front and walk right into the front doors. The district is inviting the community to join us on one of our information sessions to be held at the Fort Montgomery Elementary School, where we will go into detail on the scope of the work involved. These sessions will be held this Saturday morning at 10 a.m., next Wednesday at 7 p.m., and the following Saturday at 10 a.m. Also, we encourage people to visit the district's website, hffmcsd.org, where there's a link to the capital project with details, information, and FAQs that's full of data to help explain what we're doing and why we're doing it. I just want to touch a little bit on the scope of the project. Work will be done that will affect all 3 of the buildings in our district, but the work will be most visible at the Fort Montgomery Elementary School. I'll start at O'Neill, our high school. We're going to do a kitchen renovation, including new plumbing. We have equipment in that kitchen that's over 30 years old and beyond its useful life. We're going to replace the roof on both the A and the B wings at the high school. We're going to update the building management system, the BMS, which controls the electrical, the lighting, and the ventilation, and upgrade to an old and antiquated heating and cooling and electrical systems at the high school. At our intermediate school here on Mountain Avenue, we're going to do a full reconstruction of the parking lot, including a drainage redesign. Anyone that's visited there at any point during the winter when we have cold weather, we have constant drainage that seeps through the asphalt and causes an ice issue there. We're also going to replace the roof at that school, also update the building management system. The BMS controls the electrical, ventilation, and the lighting, and again, upgrade our antiquated heating and cooling systems there at the intermediate school. And lastly, at the Fort Montgomery Elementary School in Fort Montgomery, right on 9W, there as well, update the building management system, the BMS. We're going to enhance the accessibility at that school to include a secure main entrance, handicap accessible ramp, and a 2-sided elevator. We're going to do a full electrical upgrade, including panels and lighting at that school, replace old hot water pumps, classroom unit ventilators, and cafeteria air handling units. Those are all alterations. We're going to do a complete addition, a brand new multi-purpose room, which will be a cafeteria/gymnasium with a warming kitchen. The renovation of the existing multi-purpose room is going to create a library media center, which is include new learning spaces for art, music, and instructional support services. And lastly, a renovation and expansion of the nurse's office at that school. So it's our responsibility as a Board of Ed to keep our infrastructure working our buildings safe and up to date in a fiscally responsible manner while keeping our taxpayers in mind. In order to do this, we work closely with our financial advisors to keep our financial debt in check, as well as to keep putting funds into our capital reserve fund so we can invest in our infrastructure projects when needed. We also work extensively with our architect, construction managers to help define the scope of work for any capital projects. Working with these teams, our window for this important work is now. We have a talented facilities director, Chris Kerwin, and his team of maintenance, building and ground staff have been able to band-aid our systems to keep them running for us, but this is only going to last for so long. It's time to upgrade and replace these systems to be more energy and cost efficient. Total cost of this project is going to be approximately $44.4 million. Our district's building aid rate is 82.9%. So for every $100 of aidable work, the district gets reimbursed $82.90 from New York State. In order to fund the remaining portion of the cost of the project, we're going to use some of our $8.8 million from our capital reserve fund. We will be able to do this capital project the same as our last capital project that we brought forth to the community a couple of years ago with no additional tax impact on the residents. There will not be an increase in taxes due to this capital project, due to strategic planning with our funding and our aid ratio. Again, there's a ton of district on our school, a ton of information on our district website. Anyone that looks for any further information, as well as the information sessions that I mentioned earlier, where we'll have a full presentation and members of our admin team and board that will be able to answer any questions. Does anyone here have any questions for me?
Just to double check that 17.1%, that's the 8.8 million that we have to, are you gonna bond it?
Eventually, yes. We'll start paying from our reserve funds, wait, bond out as long as possible, and then we'll bond the remaining once that portion, once we finish our reserve funds, then we bond the rest. And that number is not definite. A lot of factors will determine that, how well we come in under our project, and how much of our, once we get to that point, what rates are and things like that.
The bond's probably gonna be, what, 30 years?
I think it's 15.
15?
Or 15 or 20. Our assistant superintendent would have that. He was at the last meeting with me at the village hall, but
But again, paying that's gonna have no tax burden on the community.
well, the cost of
I'm
that.
hearing it, say
Yeah.
it again out loud,
The
please.
cost of this project will have no additional tax burden to the taxpayer. It will not, any increase in taxes will not be due to this project. This project, we have the funds for it and financially saved for it and planned for it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Last project, I think, was bonded over 20 years. I was on the board for that one. Not saying that's what this one is.
It might be 20, I don't remember, Tom.
Yeah, and that girl, Beth Ferguson or something like that, was the person we dealt with at that time.
Yep.
So,
So she's with the same group we still use, and they're excellent, and they've been phenomenal in helping us plan to be able to bring this to the community.
When is the work expected to start?
Okay, that's great. So the work is, the budget vote is March 28th. If we get approval, our architects will really finalize the scope, working with our construction management team that we've hired. We'll end up going out to bid, and the anticipated work will start about a year from now, spring of 2024. A lot of the work goes in the summer. That's your school build cycle, when students aren't in, and then finish in through 24 into 25, working at odd shifts.
That, the cost estimate, how much was it for, you said 44 million?
44.4 million is the approximate
Is
cost.
that based on like, last, you know, how long, how old is that estimate? Because, you know, these days, we're buying equipment and stuff that's, you know, we're spending thousands more on it. Is there the contingency? What happens if it's gonna be 50 million?
Right, so
Is that gonna hit us?
no, we very much built in high estimates for all the costs. One of the things we did different than our last project, which is gonna be a huge help to us, we believe, is we hired a construction management team prior to really building out the full scope. So here's a construction management team which does this work for a living on a day-to-day basis right now. They have members of their team that know the cost of things. They know the lead time for the big ticket items. So we've absolutely built all of those contingencies into it, and we wouldn't anticipate a cost overrun for things like that at all.
Same engineering firm as the last project?
No,
or
this is-
architectural firm?
No.
Change?
Yes, last time was,
They're from like the Albany area.
Yes.
That guy Scott is his name.
right, no, I'm sorry, yes, they are the same.
The same.
BCA.
Okay. That's a good engineering firm.
BCR, yep. We have, we've done the last project, which any of you that have visited the high school in the last couple of years, it's a beautiful campus up there. Did it.
If they tell you you're gonna get a grain of salt, then you get a grain of salt. They're good that way.
Yeah, I was just there last week, in fact, and I got a tour, so I agree with you. That a lot of change since I went to school there.
Absolutely, me too, but for the better. And I heard that your presentation, that was unbelievable.
Oh, thank you.
He owned it.
I thank you very much for your time this
Thank you
evening.
very much,
Okay,
Gary.
I'm going to coach basketball.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hope your team wins. A comment, anybody? Olga? No. Previous minutes of our February 27th meeting. Have a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you.
Thank you, June.
February 24th, I transferred $54,716 from the consolidated account to the accounts payable. Some of the larger items that we paid for were $2,126 for tires for the police car, $5,294 for repairs on the police car to Faber Brothers, Royal Karting Service, $3,227 for haulage, four-star transmission for ambulance repair, $5,789. And Rockland County solid waste tipping fees, $15,146. And I also transferred $83,900 to the accounts payable to cover the check run of March the 9th. The bigger items are the leasing service for the highway superintendent's truck, $5,250. Legal fees, $11,478. Rockland County solid waste tipping fees, $12,974. Superior Auto Sales for a 2014 GMC Carrera pickup. That was a used pickup truck we bought for the highway department. That was $20,096. And the offices stay controlled for fees and fines collected by the court, $6,139. Any questions on those expenses? Being no questions, then I'll ask Councilman King for a report.
Oh, you ready for a report?
Ready for a
He
report.
knows mine is long-winded, so
Oh.
you have
Okay.
exuberance to yours. Go
I will
ahead.
lead the way. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. So, yeah, I just have a few notes this evening. Very briefly, I would like to say that we mentioned earlier about a program at the high school last week, which was the Black History Month program, specifically titled the Town of Highlands Buffalo Soldiers Black History Month program, which was a previous program that was occurring quite frequently since 2016, but unfortunately due to COVID, it was then postponed. But we resurrected it, and it sounds like people had a good time and appreciated the information that was put forth. So I just want to congratulate the school and thank the Town of Highlands personnel that helped us put the things together, like the certificates. The ladies downstairs did a fabulous job once again supporting. So I thank them and the students that participated as well. In that light, we have something coming up on the March the 28th. Now, forgive me if I hadn't sent you guys an email on this yet, board members, but sometimes it's just a delayed reaction. It's coming. but March 28th, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., Women's History Month program. And it will occur at the Highland Falls Library. And we have a incredible list of phenomenal women who will be presenting, starting with Colonel Bree Parada, the Keller Army Hospital commander, then also adding in Command Sergeant Major Michelle Frazier, United States Army Garrison West Point, Lieutenant Colonel retired Melanie Guerrero, also known as a businesswoman here locally and a trustee in the village of Highland Falls, Miss Ann Mims Molina of the center, and concluding with Principal of the elementary school, Rachel Adelstein, Principal Rachel Adelstein. And my intention is also to make these ethnic observances on a regular basis. So one of the things we did in the military, for those who don't know, is these type of observances pretty regularly. And I try to add that to the table for us here at the town. But I want to include our youth. And so my intention is on to 28th, you may see some young ladies or even young men for that matter, helping out by introducing the guest speakers or even talking about some historic figures that happen to be women. So this is in collaboration with the library, by the way. And for those who don't know, our library director is gone. I didn't know that until I went to the library the other day. Seems to be pretty sudden, but we wish her well. She did an incredible job while she was here. But now you have to talk to the board if you need things to happen until they find a new director. But I'm working in collaboration with the library, so this is a partnership there to get this thing done.
Ty, what time is that event?
That is 4:30 p.m. To 6:30 p.m. There will be light refreshments as well. And the last thing I think I'll talk about is, once again on a Monday night, it looks as though we're going to have some inclement weather. Be safe, be careful. Tomorrow it is expected to get worse. They have already announced a code red on West Point from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. or something to that effect, which suggests that we should be ready as well out here in the town of Highlands. If in fact we get something that, hopefully, God forbid, is too terrible, but we know in the past we have had some storms which knocked out people's power. Feel free to use any means necessary to reach one of us, particularly me as the liaison for emergency management. But someone used in the past Facebook Messenger really well, and to tell me that their power was out, they didn't have the ability to keep their oxygen tank running, and I was able to communicate that to Orange and Rockland to get them to expedite getting the power back up in that particular area. So just try your best to communicate, and we'll be out and about if necessary. That's all I have, Supervisor.
Before we move on to the next councilman, I'd like to say I was privileged to be able to go to the Black History presentation that was orchestrated by Councilman King. When he runs a program or what it's a program, it's just smooth. It just moves on smooth. It works perfectly. And the kids in the audience, we had a full house of kids, and they were at their best behavior. Most of the time they were totally silent, excepting when they threw a few cheers in, and once when they did a little jeers, but still, Ty, you've got a knack at doing that, and you really do a great job. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it.
We all were able to go. I know Dean had to work. Just want to add, it was an excellent program. What's the woman's title from the West Point Hospital? Is she a physician's assistant?
She's
She's a lot of things. The one that spoke, yeah.
She is the chief of hospital education.
Okay. Well, when she was done getting her accolades and presented her biography and all that, Todd said, "Man, that was so good. I feel like getting me some surgery." I thought that was pretty good.
She had a long list of credentials, and I want to just caveat with just to say that the support shown by this town board to include our brother there who was in spirit, but had some other obligations. I mean, it's consistent to see us out there together, but in this case, I think it was powerful for the young people to see three alumni from James I. O'Neill High School come back and be on the same page and bringing this kind of thing forward. I was proud, so I hope you were too, but
Thank you.
to say we went to school there, that was a big deal for me.
Now, one member of your town government is not going to be able to make your other program because he will be working down at the restaurant.
That is to be understood, so we will definitely be representing you, and we know you'll be there
You
with
still
us.
send me a letter
in
of inviting.
spirit. You know I'm gonna have something for you to sign, too.
Okay, okay. Councilman DeWitt.
Thank you, sir. Like I said, I'll chime in on Ty's program at O'Neill. The speakers, too, phenomenal. They just they captivated the kids, no doubt. Again, I'd be remorse not to say congrats again, too. It was a privilege to be there. Thank you for having me. On the other news, our Tiffany Montalisi, our highway deputy superintendent, she and 600 other members from communities attended the Local Roads Advocacy Day in Albany last week. And people from the New York State County Highway Superintendents Association and the New York State Association of Town Superintendents of Highways were all there. She said it was a great advocacy group because they had strength in numbers. She had the chance to meet with Senator Skoufis, Assemblywoman Eileen Gunther, Assemblyman Christopher, it's Ekus, right? Do I always say that wrong? I'm sorry. And Assemblyman Brian Marr. She said all parties gave great feedback and were in full support of the additional funds needed to keep our roads in good shape. I'm going to read this quick paragraph. Government Kathy Hochul's executive budget proposal continues the second year of the $32.8 billion five-year investment plan for the New York State DOT and the local road system. Record high inflation rates on highway construction materials have severely increased costs, and as a result, you're seeing almost a 25% reduction in real dollars from local highway maintenance programs. It is critical that an additional $270 million be added to the 23-24 budget for local highway programs like CHIPS and EWR just to keep funding at the same level that they were 5 years ago, which was initially adopted in 2022. She looks forward to attending these again on a yearly basis, and I'm going to encourage her to go because she definitely can advocate on behalf of the town of Highlands. And she said it was worth every minute of her time. She got a lot out of it, and she felt really good to contribute, especially on behalf of the town. So thanks again to Tiffany for heading all the way up last week. On another note, I want to remind everybody coming up, the electronic waste program, which we had a lot of success with last year, is on again on Saturday, April 15th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it's going to be at Lot 2 again here in Highland Falls in the village. And again, I've seen it in town here. People put out a TV and our crew puts a sticker on that says, sorry.
Outside the door right now.
Yeah, it's right next door. That's the one I saw. Got to remember electronic things like TVs and microwaves, lithium batteries, etc. You can go to the Town of Highlands website. There's a whole section on it that tell you about the things that you can bring down that day. So please put that on your calendars. If you got something in your house to get rid of, please do. Now, I was going to start by saying I'm going to be a little shorter-winded because I'm yielding my time.
Fire away.
No.
Fire away, brother. We're going to talk about the same thing.
I know.
Fire away.
Well, Councilman Sullivan's got a lot to say about the CCA, but I want to warm up with just a little bit that I have to say. Let me start with this. I'm going to read from my notes. Some members of the village board, I feel, are underinformed about the CCA program. And I think it was shown last Monday night. I attended to defend the program. And I remind people, I work here for the people in the town of Highlands. I don't work for Jewel. And I said we a lot of time was looked into this program to make sure it was fair to people. It didn't cost anybody anything. If anything, it brings a benefit and a choice. Again, it's an additional choice. I'm not dismissing that have discovered some bumps in the program, especially in the communication aspect of opting in and opting out. But I really think that our community, especially our two governments, be better served talking about these things together, get the messaging straight to our people, and not be adversarial, because it just fires up the negative aspects of of the program for no reason. There are enough bumps in the road that we can discuss and fix. We don't need to add under or misinformation on top of it. Working together. Today, there was a CCA information meeting here at the library, and I'm happy to say a dozen people showed up for it, which is more than the other programs in the past. At the end of it, a woman asked me why we didn't put the program to a ballot vote to the entire community. I replied, it's not worth the effort of a community-wide ballot vote. And with that, I think the woman wanted to punch me, and maybe rightfully so, because I didn't answer it enough. And of course, it was one of those moments where you walk away and go, I should have said this additionally. So hopefully, if she's listening, and I could say it to the community, the program is your vote. By your ability to opt in and opt out freely, no cost, no fees, and as often as you want, that is your ability to vote on it. Things that you do on a ballot vote, remember, these are, votes that you go yay or nay, and then they are done, and that's what the community has to deal with, whatever the proposition may be. This isn't the case in that. You can opt in and opt out. It, again, is your choice. That's why you don't vote on it. For these things to work. Now, if you look at signing up for these programs, like O&R, I was on their site today. A lot of these things, programs require a 12 to 36-month commitment. If you get out early, you get fined, or you got to pay a fee to get out. That's why we chose this program, because there are no fees. I hate to use the word caveat, but again, for the community aggregate price, the buying club price of the CCA, everybody in the community had to be opted in. You got to take the few moments it takes to opt out if you want out. And if you opt out, you're out. Nobody's going to come knocking on your door. It's that simple. You have that right. And if we keep the program, again, if rates spike, which the markets indicate that they probably will, then that program is going to look pretty good, and then you can opt in and get a lower rate. Again, the CCA, if you look at its long-term line over 18 months, they have good performance records. Again, there's an anomaly in the markets right now. Energy is as low as it's ever been. I think the word ever, Richie, right? So to start with, you do what you think is best. But again, it's about choice, and that's all we want to do is bring to the community. Like Richie's going to say, I know, if you can take a moment to go on and complain about it on Facebook, with half that same effort, you could go online and opt in or out, or opt out. And I always say, if you go over the mountain to get gas, if you take the time to drive over the mountain where gas is 30, 40 cents cheaper, if you can take the time to do that, you can take the time to opt out if that's what you want to do. And by doing that, for people that want the program, you preserve that ability for that program to exist in the future. And that's that simple. So, all right, you hate it, you don't like the opt-in thing automatically, which was a part of the deal to work. I say look at it as a little bit of community service. It will serve the whole community because it gives everybody the choice. It's that simple. That's democracy. And again, we looked at this program carefully to make sure it wasn't a financial burden or you weren't locked in like you are when a proposition gets voted on in a ballot. Not everybody votes yay or nay. There's always a percentage. So we're trying to do the right thing by everybody as best we can. We get to the point and again, I know the mayor had stated he wants out of the contract for the CCA, but if you do that, then the choice is off the table, period. I'd rather have the choice in place. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you again. I know we've spoken a lot, but we want people to understand. Please ask the questions. I know I've fielded a lot of emails and phone calls, Richie even more so. I don't know about the rest of the board, but please, ask the questions, and we're happy to answer them. And in the long term, I'd like, if this option's on the table, let's hope it can work in the future. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Councilman Yeager?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So this past weekend, in a rec department, we had a great March Mania turnout and here in our community. So heard a lot of great things. It was a really great community event, and kids had a great time, and really ran quite well. I just wanted to give a couple of quick special thanks to the following folks. One would be, of course, Aaron Falk, and then Ann Molina, the many volunteers at the center, the many parent volunteers. There's just so many, we just can't name them all right now, but you all know who you are. The school district for allowing us to host it, our varsity athletes who coached the teams, all the community members who donated concessions, supplies, etc. for the event, Hannah Pitt for coaching and coordinating the cheerleaders, and Robert Duval for refereeing. So we had a great turnout for that event, and I think you attended.
I
as
stopped
well,
in for a little bit, yeah.
and it was really nice. NFL Flag League football update. It's gaining some steam. Aaron, the rec director, he passed the background checks and is meeting up with them next week to go over program approval and the next steps. Aaron will also be the league coordinator for us. Ponytail and Little League continuing to form as spring and the warm weather. Tomorrow won't dictate that, but is coming, and it'll be great to see all the kids back out on the fields once again, like I have for so many years. So they're still forming. You can sign them up online, and opening season is scheduled so far for to date for April 29th in 2023. Also, big thank you to Stephanie Dennis for helping out with our Ponytail League organization as well, and trying to keep us organized. We're always looking for coaches, umpires, and other help, so please reach out to Aaron or myself with any questions. Ambulance Corps, our fly car that we have been so patiently waiting for, is arriving soon. I know we've been hearing that for quite some time, but it's getting very close to getting here. The good news, that is the good news. The bad news, though, with waiting for over close to almost a year, I guess, for it or so. Something. Yeah, it's been quite some time. Our price tag has gone up as well by an additional $3,348.91. Cost of our economy over a year, and all the fine print that you don't read where costs are subject to change. So, but we'll see how we can get that taken care of, and hopefully our grant that we have for the vehicle will cover that as well. In the month of February, we had 34 total calls. With 3 of those calls, we had no driver and had to turn away to another agency. 3 doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 10%, and it's also just a delayed, response to your loved one if you were one of those calls that had to wait a little extra longer for us to service. So just a reminder out there, we're always looking for help. Stop in and get an application. It's a great group of people to be with and to be around. As for the planning board, for the month of February, just run down some of the permits and so forth that we tallied up. 22 permit applications were received, 18 permits were issued. There were 0 operating permits issued. 14 certificates of compliance, 0 certificates of occupancy were issued. 35 building permit inspections. There are 11 fire safety inspections. 4 violation notices were issued. 9 violations closed out. 9 municipal searches were completed. 0 zoning variance applications received. 0 planning board applications received, with 18 FOIL requests. The annual 2022 New York State Uniform Code Administration and Enforcement Report was also submitted to New York State for the town and the village. The complete, more detailed report is available in the building department office. Please feel free to contact Phil Hannah Walton for further information regarding anything contained in the report. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, sir. And Councilman Sullivan.
Ready? Hey, everybody. If you want to mute me at home, now would be the time to do it. So,
I'm kicking back.
the Zoning Board of Appeals will not meet this March. They had one applicant that was delayed putting their submissions, so they will meet in April on the third Wednesday of the month. The Planning Board, they meet this Thursday. Bear Mountain Pizza will be on their agenda again, perhaps. They've been on informally a couple times. I think they're looking to be on informally again. They meet here at 7 o'clock this Thursday, which is the third month. So on the building department, thank you, Dean, for giving the stats for the month. With the building department, a little bit lengthy thing I have here to say. Spent a lot of time in that department for the last few weeks. Occasionally, there are applicants that avert requirements of our code, whether it be ambivalence, cognizance of violation, reluctance to spend money. Our code is a result of years of hearings, master plan changes, complaints, lawsuits by neighbors. So until now, this community was a well-kept, inexpensive place to own, develop. Unfortunately, we are a metropolis now, and we strive to help businesses and encourage their opportunities. In the 50s through the 80s, Fort Montgomery had parking on 9W for a lot of the business of Fort Montgomery on the right-hand lanes, northbound and southbound. And that possibility went away as traffic increased. And many businesses need to grow their footprint and did. Fort Storage, Fort Fitness, the Holiday Inn has an approval for an expansion. These are success stories. For those businesses that did not grow, some are challenged now. They don't have parking, their structures are antiquated. This requires a building department to work with them. Recently, this has resulted in a district area elected officials contacting me and the building department, perhaps in an attempt to lessen the applicant burden. I just want to say that our building department has hardworking Phil who endures more stressful intervention than most would imagine, and I am hard on him and require him to help people to utilize their rights as landowners and taxpayers. But with the American Civil Disabilities Act compliance, fire codes, generic site parking, illumination, and rudimentary area requirements have to at least attempt to be met. And I want to say I stand by Philip Hannawalt. I challenge anybody to find somebody of his caliber on the civil service list. Also, in the town budget is $40,000 a year for Philip to have a CEO, BSA, fire inspector, professional engineer, I know I'm talking ad nauseum about this, from the private world at his disposal. The private side has been involved with Bear Mountain Pizza, Thayer Spa, 341 Main Street, which is a church restaurant project, 123 Main Street, which has problems down the road, 915 Route 9W in Fort Montgomery. Philip is not doing this alone. He has all the help he needs in that office. The total building department budget for 2023 without welfare and pension benefits is $144,000. And I know at the last village board meeting, they spoke about the need for their own code enforcement officer, which they've done that before, about 20 years ago. The person that had it quit after a month. I don't recall them replacing that position since. No one from the village board, except for Melanie, Brian, and Jimmy DeSalvo, ever contacts me. I have communicated with them many times. If they want to get a code enforcement officer, that's okay with me. They talked about the need to trim $1 million from their budget as they go into budget season, and they talked about how they found a way to trim $200,000 during their first week of operation in doing that. So if they are going to get a code enforcement officer full-time, good luck coming off the list. You can take $100,000 out of that $200,000 and put it right back into your budget because you're going to need it. The town building department, that is 75% of their work, and I think they do a great job. And I would just like to follow up with, I've said this before, on property maintenance. In the property maintenance, if you read their code, they can use their police if they want to, and specifically, if you get to canine sanitation, which is 53-8 in their code, it specifically states that it's police officers of the village who are the enforcers of dog pooping in the wrong places. So the building department does not have jurisdiction in that area. If you want your dog in the village to be sought after for pooping in the wrong place, that's a matter for the village police. That's by their code, verbatim. Okay. Also in the building department, 341 Main Street, Rick Minicozy has become active again. He's submitting plans to the building department for architectural review. I think he has a new team in place in doing so, so at least that project is moving forward at this point in time. On water, this Wednesday, I am meeting with Tom Sprague. Tom Sprague, and I'm fully disclosing to the public. Tom Sprague is a salesman from Schmidt Wholesale. Back in August, he was here. We have like 108 things that have 3 things on this prong and 4 things on this prong, and they don't fit. So I'm very anxious to see Tom on Wednesday and have a little chat about this. That's going on. In the sewer, I reported last meeting that I spent the day at the plant a few weeks ago with Joe Fung of the DEC. He gave us a report of satisfactory. I sent it to everybody. Wanted a few questions answered. If we've had any spills in the last year, how many miles of pipe we have, and a few other things. One of the things he cited was a typographical error in a lab report by our lab company. So I think he's happy. I think that one goes away. The EPA, who I saw the village, said that they visited their plant by surprise a week or 2 ago. We've never had them visit before. They visited back in August. So we're almost done with them except for 2 things. The FOG, fat oil grease, is that what that's called?
Fat oil and grease.
Fat oil and grease, they want to see a program. It's not required. If we don't put something at least in writing, they're kind of not going to go away on that one. And the other thing is something that like I lose sleep over, which is the standard operating procedure for the plant. The engineer's not doing it. I was down the plant with Jimmy today. He went over some things with me. I'm going to try and put like a 25-page thing together before the end of the month to satisfy the EPA for the sewer operating, standard operating procedure down there. I submit to you to run an activated sludge sewer treatment plant requires organic chemistry and a bunch of other things. No one's going to walk in there if they don't know what they're doing, open up a book and be able to operate this plant. That's what they're looking for. I'll try and give them what they're looking for. Let's see. Oh, the Headworks building, I think everybody got that. I put a little work into the RFP. We got a bunch of estimates back. I made the mistake of using Angie's list. I got like probably 200 responses that I didn't need from people who weren't qualified for the job. So we're going to approve that later on. I think it's a good deal. I don't see any problems with that one. The Patriot Guard, I won't go too deeply into it. Dina spent a lot of time down there. Doris Lent called me. The lights are dim down there, and Old Glory is only being fadedly illuminated at nighttime. So I spent the better part of a day at the control panel. They have a bad ground fault circuit where it goes into the first light. It's open to the environment there. There's some corroded connections. I think we can take care of that without hiring an electrician, but I would like the town to buy that receptacle. I don't want Revision to do it. It's going to be about $30. It's not a big deal for us to replace that. And so that's on its way.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Went up to the highway garage today with Tiffany. Joe was up there. I sent out a little email about it with diamond maps. It's been my fault. It's been about 3/4 of a year. It's been dormant. Tiffany contacted me. With diamond maps, you can input your infrastructure at a lay person's level, and she's going to be starting to do that. Joey can watch the videos. We don't want everybody using it because we don't want bad data coming in. But thank you for allowing me to upgrade it to where we have multiple users. For $34 a month, there is no better solution for a municipality to track its infrastructure. The Community Environmental Advisory Committee met here last Friday. Thank you very much, Olga. We talked about Earth Day, and if you don't mind, You're gonna be able to talk about it better than I am in a couple of minutes, okay? You can give us all, we went over a lot of things, there's a lot of people invited to the library, it's from 10 to 2, and if Olga doesn't mind, she can elaborate on that. And am I almost done? I'm almost done. Joey wants me to talk about community choice aggregation, so I will, all right? I wish there were more people here. There were about 15 people at the library, some were angry. As far as putting it on the ballot, we live in a representative democracy. That's who we are. We represent the people in democracy. I don't have an attitude. I don't think I'm the most important person in the world. I spend a lot of time reading, researching things, making myself knowledgeable to vote on things. And I'm charged with that responsibility until the year 2025, or whatever it is that I'm, 2025, at which time maybe somebody else will be doing it. But for now, I'm that person. I'm proud to do it. And the community choice aggregation, I wanted to, that's why the printers jammed June. I wanted to print up my bill and be able to hold it here for people on 11 by 17. So to cut to the chase, everybody's bill has two parts to it, and they're about equal in number. One side is a delivery. This has been explained at like 15 meetings that were advertised to the public to come to, and nobody came. That's okay, we'll talk about it now. So your delivery rate is about 9.5 cents per kilowatt hour, and you'll see it's about half your bill. The supply side is where this all comes in. I've had over 25 emails and phone calls in the last week. A lot of it driven by social media, prompting people to do so. It's the world we live in, we'll deal with it. So I dealt with it, okay? On the supply side, right now, let me see if I have it here. Program, and before I opt into that program, I would like to confirm what O&R's current rate or what you can project it will be, because anecdotally it's 4 cents a kilowatt hour. I'm calling to confirm that.
Yes, for the month of March, it is 4 cents per kilowatt.
Okay, and
So
that's...
very variable rate, so it can go up or down
You got that, Ryan? Can you hear it?
next month.
Okay.
We really wouldn't know.
Okay. All right, that's what I was calling.
Now, if you wanted me to, I have other recordings. Nobody wants me to play this ad nauseam. I chose at this time to opt out of the program at 4 cents a kilowatt hour compared to 12. I'm not going to say be a fool not to, but like, you don't have to have a heart attack. You don't have to run to a meeting during public comment and tell everybody how dumb the town board is. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go onto social media and do the same thing. You dial a simple phone number and you are out. But you know what? It doesn't cost anything. And you dial that number again and you are back in. Why might you want to do that? Part of what prompted this whole thing was Central Hudson. Central Hudson had all kinds of trouble with their billing. They had rates that were above 40 cents a kilowatt hour in some of their communities. So the new Congressman, Pat Ryan, came in. First thing he did is said, we're getting rid of their CEO. And they did get rid of their CEO. And I think their rates are now like 15 cents a kilowatt hour, is what Jeff said today up there. So we have two options for our rates. One of them is 11.29 cents per kilowatt hour, non-renewable. The other option is 12 cents a kilowatt hour with renewables. You can do that for the next 18 months. It starts on April 1st. Doesn't cost you anything to go in or out. Nobody tried, and so you got a choice, because if something happened like it did to Central Hudson, where your rates are at 40 cents a kilowatt hour, I'd be willing to bet that the public would be happy to have government intervene for them with that kind of difficulty, all right? So I'm proud of the program. I'm proud of Olga. And I am speaking to the village board. I email all of you all the time. We had a 100,000-gallon water spill in Fort Montgomery Luther King Day. Only 2 people got back to me. One of them was not their liaison, who was Gary Phillips, who I called on the phone to tell him that we had that spill. Anybody voting for the village election in a couple of weeks, vote for someone who will work with your town board, because we get along. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I throw out one more thing?
Yes, you can.
Thank you, sir.
You got 1 minute.
Thanks, John. If I have compiled all the contact information for the CCA program onto one little sheet, If you want to email me, you can find my email at the town hall, the Town of Highlands website, and I'd be happy to forward it to you if that makes it easier. Again, on the Town of Highlands website, if you go down to the CCA piece, click on that, and then there's a link. I opted out as well today because at 4 cents, I'm going to start that way. And we will announce prices I'm going to announce prices.
Every month.
Every month for everybody, so we'll help you keep track of it. I don't think our ratings, television-wise, are as good as the Village, but
Whatever.
hopefully people will see it. So again, if you want that information, I'd be happy to send it to you, and I had something else to say, and it's eluding me, but that's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Chief, do you have anything?
It's a tough act to follow.
Richie?
I don't think I can follow that. I mean, I could, but it would just be my opinion. Real easy. Statistics for the month of February. Then I'll go off on my tangent about 9W. Let's see, officers handled 328 directed patrol assignments. Most of them were traffic enforcement assignments. Handled 167 calls for service, did 85 traffic stops, issued 31 uniform traffic tickets, made 1 arrest, had 6 cases reported, and responded to 12 motor vehicle accidents. The last one being February 27th, which involved 18 vehicles on 9W. The other morning, I got a phone call from one of our officers at about 5 after 6 to tell me that 9W was yet again freezing over. It was 28 degrees. DOT had responded, salted. One of their engineers, I believe, were there and actually observed the water seeping from underneath the blacktop. And they were actually watching it freeze on the road surface. And they said until the temperature gets above freezing, the rock salt is not going to melt the ice. I have started looking into speed cameras. I found one that appears that it might serve our needs. I'm waiting for a cost proposal for 4 of them, but they are web-based. That would allow us to maintain data of number of vehicles, the speeds they're traveling, the times they're traveling, and also in addition to alerting you to your speed, it will also afford us the ability to put a message on there, such as ice ahead, crash ahead, to alert people on 9W that they need to pay more attention because there's something around the curve that they don't know about. The residents here, they have respect for that mountain. But the hundreds of commuters going north and south, I don't believe, unless they've actually experienced it, I don't think they're aware of how dangerous that road could be.
Chief, are these cameras, they're just warning and signs, they're not ticket issuing?
They have the, well, they could have that ability to photograph the vehicle, the license plate, and the operator. They'll show you what your speed is, but the nicest part is they're more expensive to be solar operated. I would not want my officers stopping on the mountain to change the batteries like we do on Firefighters Memorial Drive. I don't think it's safe for anybody to stop their vehicle any place from the Highlands town line to 293.
Agreed.
And we do it on a regular basis because of accidents and disabled vehicles. That was quicker than yours.
It'll be better.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Down, Chief, thanks.
Justin, you have anything?
Just the agenda.
Okay. Olga, do you have anything?
I guess I do. Thanks to Councilman Sullivan. Yeah, we are planning an Earth Day event April 22nd happens to be a Saturday, so it's a great day for us to actually have Earth Day. I think it's going to be our 4th anniversary of our committee, so we'll have a little birthday thing. We have a great program. We're still putting in a few of the pieces, but I do want to spotlight the fact that there'll be activities for the entire family. There'll be book readings for young children and film showings for families. We're going to have a special guest appearance by Dirtman. And we have one of our residents here in Fort Montgomery. She has a spinning wheel, and she's going to do spinning wheel demonstrations, how to go from yarn to knitted items. So, it's a very full program, and there'll be more information coming out. I just hope people will mark their calendars for April 22nd from 10 to 2. And
Which is
where-
actually
where
Earth
at?
Day, right? It's actually Earth Day.
it is
April
actually
22nd.
Earth Day.
And what's the location?
Pardon me?
And the location?
It'll be at the library for those events, and then we're also inviting everybody in the community again. We've had this community cleanup in past years to grab their neighbors, and get a broom and or a rake and clean up your neighborhood for Earth Day. So I hope people will do that as well.
Thank you. Board have any questions? No?
Thank you,
Thanks a
Olga.
lot.
Okay, Ethics Committee.
Is that one of the resolutions you said?
Yep.
Okay.
I have a resolution for it. I've been supervisor a long time. I don't remember having an ethics committee, although we do have in our bylaw, or our code, a provision for an ethics committee. Fortunately, I'd have to say, in my 18 years, we never needed an ethics committee. We do have a situation where we need an opinion from the ethics committee, but without members on the committee, we can't get an opinion. So therefore, tonight, we'd like to reestablish, if that's the right word, a Board of Ethics under Chapter 11 of the Town Code. And this would be an appointment of members, and those members would be, should we pass this, June Patterson as the elected person on the committee, Gary Lukes, who is a gentleman that owns a house in Roe Park, Highland Falls, and Ann Molina, who I don't have to tell anybody who she is. So this would be the 3 members, and our attorney would be an advisor to the committee. So I'm going to ask the board for a motion to appoint members to the Board of Ethics to the town of Highlands by resolution.
Motion.
Second?
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember DeWitt?
Aye.
Councilmember Yeager?
Aye.
And Supervisor Livesey?
Aye. With that, June, I would recommend that you get the committee together ASAP. Get Justin with you, outline things that you are supposed to do, and the whole ethics rules and regulations. And then we need an opinion on the situation that we have, whether or not it does in fact come under the Ethics Committee. Okay? So between you and June and the rest of the
Thank you.
committee?
Town clerk already reached out to me.
All right, okay.
And
Okay,
both the other members have the code too. I sent it.
good. Very good. Very good. Chief, I guess I got to get back up again and tell us about this software program, that PACE Scheduler program.
The PBA, during their contract negotiations, requested some type of a software program to move our scheduling forward into like the 21st century. I attempted efforts to streamline the process, and they didn't like any of the choices. They wanted a production type of software to use for scheduling. It was approved in their contract negotiations last year. The one that I had, that you've got the proposal for, I found. I sat through a demonstration with the PBA president and my secretary, who does the payroll and the scheduling now. It appears to be the most reasonably priced solution that will be able to deal with our unique scheduling process. Every other one deals with permanent type shift scheduling and/or full-time. This one is actually being used by a department which has the majority of their officers part-time, although not all part-time. And they're happy with it. They assured me during the demonstration that it would be able to fill our needs. The officers would be able to schedule themselves to work, and we would be able to see a continuously fluid schedule, either by computer or on a device, a cell phone or a tablet.
Ballpark price for this, Chief?
I think the estimate for up to 20 people was about $2,000.
Per year?
$1,800 per year, $1,800, $2,000 per year. If we go over 20 employees, then it would jump up, I think they said it would be like $3,500 per year for the next block of employees. They won't just add one or two. It goes, I think it's 20, then 40, so
Our chances of going over 20 are kind of slim.
our chances of hitting 15 right now are kind of slim.
Okay, all right. Town board, do we have any problem with?
We're not
The
currently
purchase?
paying an assistant chief. I see no problem with spending this money on this.
Concur.
Okay.
Agreed.
Agreed.
So I'll just ask for a simple motion to allow the chief to invest in this program called PACE Scheduler Program.
I believe I sent you the paperwork. I think you're the one who asked, or do you have to pass a resolution for
Well,
me
I'm
to
going
sign
to do
the
a
agreement?
resolution just to take it off my back, and
I'll make the motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. So there you go. Whether I want to sign it or not, I have to.
And I'll contact them and I'll have them start the process.
Yes, yes.
They figure it would be I think they outlined it in the proposal. I think it's about 6 to 8 weeks for them to start setting it up, tailoring it to our needs until it's,
And the union is accepting this program, right?
the PBA president sat there with me in the demonstration and said, I like that program.
Okay. Good.
Would there be any call to any other departments to use this software, or should it just stay police? I was thinking, I know, I'm just throwing it out there, ambulance or,
I think
or,
the problem would be, it would probably have to be another module.
Yeah, and the cost.
So the other department is not able to go into, to access our side and modify our schedule.
I understand, okay.
But I do know there were other solutions. I've used other ones, two in particular. I used one that town of Walk Hill uses. I liked it a little bit better, but it was almost 3 times as expensive. And I know Blooming Grove Ambulance uses a program that includes scheduling, and that also is about twice as expensive for it to be written to fit our needs.
Okay.
So I looked at cost in addition to functionality.
Chief, I just, in my paperwork here, it's $1,600 for the first year.
Just like that, he saved us $400. The guy's amazing.
Genius.
And I even waived the $500 one-time fee, too. It's on here. All right. Richie, I'm going to put you back up again. Our sewer plant has really been brought up to modern standards. A lot of work has been done down there. A lot of money has been put into it. But the one thing we missed, and I don't know why I do know why we missed it, because our engineer missed it. The Headworks building. That's the building where the first stuff comes into the sewer plant. That's called the Headworks building. It is in bad need of a building itself and the equipment inside it. I realize the project, the prices you got and everything have nothing to do with the Headworks equipment, but it has to do with the building. So would you please explain?
Sure, so everybody got the emails ad nauseam. I'm seeing pain in people's eyes, so you probably don't want me to talk about it too much. But, so, the anomaly, whatever you want to call it, quagmire here is the Headworks building is designed for 120,000 gallons a day. They have partial flumes, they have a bar screen, it's very moist in there. When it was first built in the 80s, 1987 I think, it had a heater, which was never really necessary because it's warm sewer flowing through there. It had a sink, which I don't know of anybody that wants to use a sink in a room with sanitary mist all over the place, and it has a heater. Those don't function, and that's okay. So the roof has been leaking. It's a hip roof. It's about 670 square feet. We had about 5 people give real prices on it. The closest, and remember, it's an RFP. It's not a competitive bid. I don't think we even have to take the lowest bidder. But by far, the best deal is our local person, Jack McCarthy Carpentry. He did the roof on the administration building about 5 years ago. This is not a complaint, I'm just going to say it. It takes me longer to do the RFP than it does for him to do the job. So he can be there, I think, next week. He said 10 days from the date that we told him he had the lowest price. And if we need everybody's consent, I would appreciate that.
And the price would be $7,725.
That's correct. That's correct. Roof, flashing on the fascia. Underneath is vented eaves. They don't need it. The roof has a vent in it. Inside the building, if you look, there's conduit. The wires are not in the walls. The ceiling tile has mostly fall down. So he's going to put up green board is what was spec, moisture resistant, around the conduits that are there. If the conduits needed to be moved, there's a provision for $500 for an electrician to do that. I don't believe that's going to be necessary. So you'll have a brand new leak-proof building, and we'll figure out the rest later on, minimizing costs, because as we talked about with the trailer park flow, a couple meetings ago, I read we were at 93% capacity for that 1 month. We don't know what we're going to do with that building quite yet, so I don't want to see us put a ton of money into it. This is minimal for what we need.
Does that building have room for expansion that if we need be, or is that on the table?
It's not the building is just on top of concrete work, which is the partial flume coming in. That's all. You can't vary it. It can only do 120,000 gallons a day. You'd have to chip the whole thing out with a hammer and start over again with a bigger footprint. So that building doesn't need to be modified. What's underneath it would need to be modified if we're going to go that route in the future.
Thank you.
Ask for a motion to approve hiring Mr. McCarthy Carpentry for an estimated price of $7,725. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second by? Second. Any questions or comments or what have you? Okay, so carried. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
I was notified by Jeffrey Gathers, our ambulance corps captain, that as was mentioned earlier, the fly car is kind of on its way. It's going to cost $3,500 more than originally was expected, because we got a grant for $65,000. They were supposed to stay within that grant price. Obviously, circumstances have caused the price to go up. What I've done with the support of the board, or what I will do with the support of the board, is I'm going, when it's delivered, they want a check on delivery. I'm going to give them a check for $65,000. If we owe them more than that, they can bill us for more than that. But the deal was $65,000 for that car, and I've been in this business long enough to realize that the car is going to come in, and there's a few $1,000s more money that's got to be put into it, because you've got to put radios and different electrical equipment inside it. So I know that, and I know it's not going to cost us just $65,000. Now, I had Kelly write a letter to Christine Rodriguez, who is in Senator Skoufis's office. We are receiving our new fly car very shortly. As we prepare for delivery, it has come to our attention that the cost of the vehicle is $68,348.91, which is more than the grant we have. We respectfully request that Senator Skoufis review our situation and increase the amount of the grant if possible. So I'm not just flat telling them, no, we're not going to give it. I'm telling them to bill us, see if we can get it out of the grant money. So if that's all right with everybody, that's what I'm going to do. And any other public comment? Olga, you all right? Okay. That's it. That's all I have. Anybody have anything else?
I just have one last thing I forgot to mention. One of the speakers is Miss Carly Limler for Women's History Month on March 28th.
Oh, last meeting I mentioned that I don't have the letter with me anymore. In fact, it may be in the minutes, that we were going to look for a Woman of the Year or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't heard anything from anybody.
You just needed a name, right?
Say what?
You just needed a name before a person?
June, do you remember what that was about? Who was doing that?
That was Ickes,
Eucas, yeah, Eucas, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Assemblyman Ickes. He's talking about the Women of the Year candidate,
Oh, yes, women of distinction.
Women of
Correct.
Distinction, yeah, for Assemblyman Ickes.
Does anybody have anybody, or did anybody put any thought to it? Suppose, I know a person on a board that does things like this really well. He gets in the community, he's got his thumb on stuff like this, and so I would appreciate.
When's you need it?
I'll have to find the letter, it's on my desk somewhere.
Okay, I got you.
Posted on his social media that, the other day was 3 days ago was the last day of nominating.
Yeah, we'll get it. I'll call him up, so I think we can still make it happen.
Okay, you got some money, well, I'm not even gonna ask you if you got some money in mind, but is it okay if we pass this on to Councilman King and let him come up with a candidate for us? All right, okay. That's all. Have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Thank you all.